There's all different kinds of blues. Kansas City blues, Memphis blues, New Orleans blues. I don't even know what a Victrola is. It's a record player. I don't even know what a record is. You talk about these things to young people today. Someone asked me earlier, what's a little thing back there? He knew it was cassette. I've lived through a lot of technology. The first album I ever made, which was in about 66, was not even stereo. It was monaural vinyl. Next album I made in about 67 was stereo. We went out and bought headphones. Stuff was flying around on our left and right side of our brain. Oh, dude, cool. Then they made 45s, the big black donuts. That's what they played my singles on the radio on 45s. Then 8-tracks came out. You remember 8-tracks? What a weird moment in technological history. And then cassettes came after that. Then CDs. I remember starting to hear about CDs. CDs, what's a CD? And they tried to explain. Knew that my folks had invested in some CDs back when they were at 18%. You remember those days? They didn't have any money at all. I mean, what little money they had, they put in CDs, and actually it was a wonderful thing. So I thought it had something to do with finances, but then these little chrome discs came out. And so I've lived through all that technology. Now they download my music in cyberspace. I don't know how that works, but it's kind of scary while I'm laying in bed asleep at night. People are Googling me. Oh, that's what that was. They're just Googling me. Find my music. Yeah, it's a lot of technology historically, and I've lived through it all. The Victrola, boy, how do you explain the Victrola? So it's a record player, if you know what a record is. It played at a speed that was 78, not 33 1/3, 78, very fast. The records themselves were made out of very brittle acetate. If you just tapped one, they would break. They weren't like vinyl that you could bend. They were very, very fragile. The record player operated by means of a mainspring, kind of like on an old watch that you wound up. The floor model was a box that stood about this tall. It was about 2 feet by 2 feet. The lid opened up. There was a turntable upon which you placed the often warped acetate recording. Then on the side was a crank like an old Model T car, and you cranked up and tightened the mainspring. But you had to be very careful. It was kind of a feel thing. It wasn't like crank 10 times. You cranked until it got kind of snug, and then you stop. If you cranked too far, you could break the mainspring, which we eventually did on ours. And by the way, my dad loaded up in the back of the car. We took it up and threw it down the hill with all the records. That's what you did. It was broke. Couldn't find anybody to fix it. It's an old broken record player, so off it went. I'd like to have those records now. We had some old records. I remember one time I had some friends in the neighborhood, some little boys came over, and my Victrola was there. What's that? I said, what's a Victrola? They didn't know what that was. What's a record player? How does it work? Well, you crank this up. And they made fun of me like, oh, you got a monkey too? I mean, we were, little side note, we were poor. I didn't know it. My dad served in the Army in World War II over in the Philippines. Coming back from that war, our soldiers didn't have a lot of money to just go out and build a house or buy a house, either one. So my dad purchased a little single-car garage. So the first few years of my life, I lived in a garage. It was fine. My brother and I, my mom and dad, and we were just fine. It was stuck up some sheetrock, and my mom and dad's bedroom was, when you came in, the side door was on the left, and the kitchen was on the right. And then I think there was kind of a storage room, and my brother and I were in the other room. We had a pump for water. I have a wonderful picture somewhere of my brother and I in a galvanized tub on a Saturday, because we would pump the water from the pump outside. My mom would put it on the stove, heat it up, lay it on the floor. My brother and I would crawl in the tub, and we took our Saturday night bath. Which, by the way, this is Saturday, so I will take my bath tonight. And I'll be good for this week. And we had an outhouse. How many of you had an outhouse? Yeah, I know, you kind of, don't go there, we don't want to talk about that. It's an outdoor bathroom. Little cubicle, and dug a hole in the ground, and dug another hole above on the bench, and that's where we went. Now, I grew up in Minnesota. Coldest weather I ever remember was 30 below zero. It only lasted for about a week. If that was wind chill, which they didn't have back then, it would be about 70 below zero. we just went out and played and put our skates on and went and played hockey. I grew up playing hockey. And if you don't know any different, you don't know any different. But we were poor. If you don't know you're poor, it's not that bad. So when someone else tells you, these little boys were trying to tell me, though, you must be poor, because they had a 45 record player. Remember those little portable 45s that you plugged in? You put a whole stack of records on, hit one button, the arm would come over, the record would drop, it would play, then at the end it would come back over another one. Well, not the Victrola, you had to do everything manually. And they asked about the outhouse. Remember that? What's that for? They didn't know. What's that out there? What's an outhouse? What's an outhouse? I explained to them. That's where you go to the bathroom. Wow. I asked them, I said, where do you go? They said, in the house. I'm thinking, ooh. Those are nasty boys. They should get an outhouse. I don't think I want to go to their house. I mean, it's just a matter of perspective. You don't know anything. So anyway, on that Victrola, we had a bunch of records. All I knew as a kid was there was one with a bright blue label and one with a bright red label. And I could find those. I liked the sound of them. I didn't know anything about the titles or anything. I just knew I liked the way they feel. Well, many years later, I realized they're most likely the Kansas City Blues. And I guess I was born to like blues. And I wrote a song, I've written a couple, 3 songs in that vibe. I haven't done this in a long time. I'm going to try to remember this. Heart of mine, heart of mine, since you met Jesus, well, you've been so fine. So glad you came into this heart of mine. Love divine, that's what you put into this heart of mine. So glad you came into this heart in time. I used to have such hate in my heart, no peace of mind. Thought my world was falling apart, but then the Lord came by just in time into this heart of mine, heart of mine. Since you met Jesus, well, you've been so fine. So glad you came into this heart of mine. Oh, by the way, this guitar, just as a little side note, the reason why I pulled this guitar out, in about 1983, probably, my father-in-law sent me a newspaper article from the Pioneer Press in St. Paul, Minnesota, about a young man that was in the basement of a church. I think it was called Good Shepherd Church in St. Paul, Minnesota, and he made guitars. And what he did was he made guitars in this room the church provided if he would do the janitorial services. And his name was James Olson. And I thought, man, sometime when I go up to Twin Cities, I want to meet him. I want to see how they make guitars. So I did, years ago, probably in the mid-'80s. And I went in, and here's this room. He's got wood here, and backs and fronts and some necks and pieces and parts, but he only had one guitar sitting on a stand, and it was this guitar. And I said, would it be okay if I played? Oh, yeah, play it, please. So I played it, and played about like a good Martin guitar, if you know what that is. And I thought, this is a really nice guitar. He said, well, I made that guitar for Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash came to the Twin Cities to do a concert, and I made that guitar to give him. And I went to the venue with the guitar, and I was walking back toward the stage, and some security guys stopped me, and they said, who are you? Oh, I'm James Olson. What do you want? I want to give this guitar to Mr. Cash. Well, you just can't come back here and give him a guitar. And so they turned away. James is a very humble, very, very quiet individual, and he just left. So he told me that story, and he said, so that was intended for Johnny Cash, but he never got it. And I said, would you sell it to me? Yeah. He said, if you'll play it, and if you'll talk it up a little bit, maybe put a credit line on your album, I'll sell it to you for what I've got in it. And I said, what do you have in it? He says, $600. Sold. An Olson guitar today starts around somewhere in the 30s, if I remember correctly, maybe in the 20s up to 30s, depending on what you do. He's considered probably the finest American guitar luthier on the planet. If you ever watch James Taylor, James plays Olson guitars. Doyle Dykes has some Olson guitars. They're beautiful guitars. This isn't in that caliber, but it's a nice guitar. And it was made for Johnny Cash, and I got it for $600. And then James got a letter a couple weeks later from Johnny Cash's manager, and it was a lady, and I'm sorry I don't remember her name. I have a copy of the letter. And she said, dear James, we heard about what happened with the guitar you wanted to give Mr. Cash. I'm so sorry that happened. That was not our security, that was the venue security. Mr. Cash would have loved to play the guitar, but we understand you sold it to Dallas Holm. He's one of our favorite gospel singers. And then Johnny Cash wrote a letter as well, apologizing that he hadn't got the guitars, and I got copies of those two letters. So this is a guitar that was intended to be in Johnny Cash's hands. There's been some teaching, some books written, some ideas thrown about in recent years, hasn't there? And even now, there are some voices out there within the community of believers that are trying very hard to say, well, there really is no hell. Or it's just kind of a short-term thing. I've heard this, well, it wouldn't be fair. Wouldn't be fair that if in this short little life, just because you sin, you go to hell forever. That's just not fair. Oh, you want to approach it on the basis of fairness? Let me tell you what's infinitely more unfair. That we sinners, rebels of the cross, disobedient, arrogant, prideful people, by just surrendering our life to Jesus, should get to go to heaven forever. That's way more unfair than sinners going to hell. So don't ever deal with that issue on the basis of fairness, because it won't carry through very well. I've often said, your opinions in the matter about the realities established by an eternal God will never change the truth. Scripture talks a lot about, in fact, it speaks more of hell than it does of heaven. It's clear there is a place, and it's forever, and I don't want to go there, and you probably don't either, right? So isn't it wonderful that the Lord has saved us? Some people say, well, you don't want to get saved just to avoid hell. Well, that's true, but it's a pretty good reason. It's a pretty neat benefit when you consider it. So I'm glad that I know where I'm going. I haven't sung this song in a while. I'll just sing a couple more. Finishing up a concert years ago, and at the end I was walking down the side of the auditorium. A young man stepped out and he met me, and just point blank he said, why do you do what you do? After all these years, I know you've been out there doing this a long time, why do you do what you do? And it was just one of those moments when it didn't take any time at all. I didn't think about it, just immediately I said, because in the front of my mind and in the back of my mind and to the left and the right, there's an image of a man on a cross. He stopped and went, oh, that makes sense. And I'm going, ooh, There's a song there somewhere. So I wrote it. Why do I do the things I do? Why do I say the things I say? Sing the songs I sing, pray the prayers I pray. Why do I push myself so hard to go the second mile, knowing my reward may only be a smile? Well, there's a picture in my mind that time can't erase. There's a memory from days gone by that helps me keep my place. It's in the front of my mind, in the back of my mind, to the left and to the right. There's an image of a man across. What do I care what others think? What do I care what others say? When he has won my heart and I've found my way. What do I care what it may cost? Though it may cost my all to walk the narrow path and hear a silent call. Well, there's a picture in my mind that time can't erase. There's a memory from days gone by that helps me keep my place. 'Cause in the front of my mind, in the back of my mind, to the left and to the right, there's an image of a man on a cross. I'm constrained by the love of Christ. I'm compelled to express his life. It's in the front of my mind, in the back of my mind, to the left and to the right, there's an image of a man on a cross. To the left and to the right, there's an image of a man on a cross. Tuning time. Hey, you remember this song? I've sung this in a long time. Have I ever played it in this key? Have I no way? Have I thy will. While I'm waiting, yielded and still, have thy own way, Lord. Have thy own way.